Hey guys.
Imagine. Look, everybody's on in eager anticipation. Carry on. Glass of wine ready. Kira, I see you. Kemoy, this conversation is going to be hot. Leslie Miller, we're ready for you.
Cheers.
Can't wait to hear this one. Carrie, so everybody's been waiting. We did have to draw it out, little food up with us, cause a little excitement. Heidi, hey Heidi, how you doing, girl? Hey, what
And
up, is
look who's Kemoy. When's the last time you see Kemoy in the chat and commenting?
I call this a pajama party, and we talk about dating, girls. We talk about
Guys,
dating.
before we even get into that, guess what? When I went to take Ajani to JC on yesterday, thank God, to get his second dose of Pfizer before it was finished.
Finish.
I met one of our emergers who was standing in the line behind me.
Who is that?
Rochelle, you remember Guido?
Oh yeah!
So Ajani was the most embarrassed after. He just like, I'm just not gonna go anywhere with you. Because
Red Rory, where the
we
single
were
ladies at?
laughing and chatting, and she
Hi,
was just,
Wida is online now.
yeah.
Hey,
It was so nice meeting you, Guido. We took a selfie, or she said we're taking a snap, so we took a snap, guys.
Red
Very
Rory says, where the single ladies at?
Oh wow, okay.
So let's be clear that we're not doing any matchmaking tonight.
Well, you never know, I mean, we're emerging into the dating scene, so anything's possible.
Well, today's something exciting, very exciting. My nephew saw me coming down a while ago, so he sees me running for the show. Hear him now? First, I did have on another pajama. Just like me, even my nightwear I have to change. So I remember though that I could not be on a pajama party without wearing ASD made by our very own Ayana
You
Dixie
need to
right
move a
there.
little bit to the side, Rush, so we can see we can see it a little bit. Or you have to sit up, or you have to give my
Woo!
Shimmy shimmer. So I
So
got this
guys, I was
now.
actually telling them the story about this pajama set, which this random person sent me a DM some months ago from India saying that they make all these pajamas, like hand printed stuff. And I thought it was a scam. And I checked out their Instagram page and it looks very legit. They make all kinds of stuff. So I ordered like 6 pairs because it was like $100 and it was FedEx to me from India. So this is one of them.
Please share that. Give us that
I will
internet.
share the link. I will share the link. They're super cute, very inexpensive, even with a FedEx fee. And I got like 6, and I gave away like 2, and then I have 4 for myself. Because I like pajamas.
Yeah, me too. I'm obsessed
I'm,
with nightwear.
I'm the only one that doesn't have an interesting pajama story then.
You could share the pajamas you're gonna wear before, Kat. That's an interesting pajamas.
No, we're not gonna share that one. We're keeping it G.
You know what's funny? Boy, we need to do more of this topic because I've never seen on our conversations, the comments, people so eager.
Lighten up, right?
Start before we even start. We don't even do the introduction yet or anything.
Hi,
And because
Rochelle.
I'm present.
So tonight, obviously, everybody is excited. We've gotten some comments from you guys from our postings about tonight's show.
Wait, first of all, welcome to Emerge Detour Essentials Live. Like we are also so ready to jump into the topic. So welcome guys to Emerge Detour Essentials Live. We're here every single Wednesday when we're in season, because we have seasons now. We're in season 5. And this is episode 3, right? Season 5, episode 3.
Episode 3.
Yes.
Yeah. And we're just super excited for tonight's episode. As we had mentioned in the previous episodes, this season is a little bit different, right? So some episodes you're gonna see just us. Some episodes we're gonna have special guests, but the topics are gonna be slightly different. So you're used to seeing us interviewing one individual. We're hearing about their life journey and all the great takeaways. But we found out that there are some interesting topics that we discuss in our own Emerge group. We discuss in different friends groups that we don't really talk about in public. So we wanted to use our Emerge platform to kind of bring some of these interesting topics to this space with our emergers, to really not just share, but to hear from you guys too about your own experiences in the spaces that we're talking about. So tonight's going to be a pretty exciting show. But before we get into that, we'll just do our quick intro. We are the Emerge Trio because we don't say trio here. I'm Naomi Garrick. I'm also known as the PR Chick. I'm a personal branding coach and the founder of Garrick Communications, a PR agency. And tonight, I'm just here to learn. Like, I'm here to hear all the stories and to learn about, what's really happening with the dating world in Jamaica.
Yeah. And I am Kathy Goodall. Very happy to be home in this sweltering heat.
Oh, welcome back, Kathy. Officially back in Jamaica after living in Florida since January.
I mean, central air, I mean, I'm not accustomed to this life.
Baby, come back home. You're back home.
Anyway, I just want to big up my brother Shay. He's online. Hi, Shay.
Hi, Shay.
Hey, I have never seen this many men on Emerge at this time commenting on top of
it. I saw Garfield Reese, the one and only Garfield Reese, man from Janet Crescent, the one and only Borough. Who I know, I wonder if don't put up a thing yet. I want that Rachel have an R90. She in a 90. Watch my brother. Hear my brother is like, is Rachel in her 90? Yes.
But I just want us to pause and say, since Garfield is on tonight, this must mean, Rushy, that we're one step closer to having him on our show because we've asked so many times. This Garfield must mean that you're one step closer to coming on the show live, right? Hi, Chrissy. Chrissy said, I'm ready for some dating mix-up stuff. Chrissy's here and she said she's ready. So, Rochelle, your introduction.
My name is Rochelle Cameron, sister of Shay Cameron, because apparently that's what I am. I'm CEO of Fresh Air Consulting Services Limited, and I'm an attorney at law. I reside in the island of Jamaica, but I serve the people of the world.
Wow. First time I'm hearing that ending for your intro.
Serve the people of the world. We have to get used to that one. Yashika says hello, Rush.
I want to know if Yashika only see Rochelle on the screen. That's what I want to know.
From when? Oh my God! No, but tonight, guys, who knew dating got everybody out early? Everybody is ready and raring to go. Raring to go because let me tell you, tonight we have two ladies on. They are, you know how Jamaicans call people kwashi? They are no kwashi. These are not only some upstanding citizens, professional women, but these are beautiful, dynamic ladies. We wonder how they're still single, but we're glad they're still single so they could be on the show tonight. And they are going to be sharing with us because, we wonder, in a Jamaica, and if you come from any small island, say we start out with day. From we meet, we there. So we had this question, do we date in Jamaica? Do we actually go out on dates with different people just to see who is out there to make ourselves available? Or is it that you just in the supermarket one day and you see somebody on an eye twinkle and then you're there? So we are joined by two amazing women. And let me tell you, them also hilarious. So please have a piece of tissue because laughing I got spoiled too. Story I got tell. Please ask your questions. And wherever you are, raise your glass right now because we're going to give a big cheers to attorney at law. Dancer extraordinary.
Yes.
Lady Stephanie Graham.
Hi guys, thank you so much for that amazing introduction.
And then we have another lady who has worked in the rum industry. She is now in telecoms and she is, I know that she would want me to also say that she is the auntie of the amazing twins A and Z. She is Nyree Cook Wedding
Good evening, ladies. I don't have a glass, so I'm raising my sanitizer so we can make sure I sanitize the argument this evening.
Whoa. So the comments have been rolling in, ladies. You're seeing. Hey, Daniel. Daniel said my next relationship will begin with courtship.
Wait, guys, I feel like I need to get my glasses so I can read the comments. I'm gonna be right back. Can't take me off screen.
So while Nai gets her glasses, because you know, like she just love to play hero. Stephanie, recall we had a lunch date where the two of us just chatting about what's going on. And I asked the question, I'm just like, do people date? And you're like, yeah. Mr. In Jamaica, people date. And you say, yeah. And so I'm going to allow you to tell us your journey and a special project that you embarked on, because I think we have to start there.
Yeah, so the special project, which I labeled the experiment, really came out of this whole idea that, I have so many girlfriends, they're single, they're amazing women, I think, they're intelligent, great jobs, beautiful, great personalities, and everybody's single. So I'm like, something is wrong, right? So I was having a conversation with a friend, and she's just like, there are no good men. Had another conversation with a friend, no good men. Had a conversation with Nyree. Nyree goes, there are no good men. And I said, no. It cannot be that there are no good men. There must be something that is going wrong, or we're doing something wrong. So I said, started to work my little brain, and I was like, you know what? I want to put together something to really figure out if it's that there are no good men, or are we doing something wrong? So yes, I said no, people are dating, but generally dating in Jamaica isn't something that happens. Mm-hmm. So I put it out on my Instagram, and I was like, single ladies who are interested in dating, hit me up. I have a little idea. And people actually responded to me. Like, I got a group of 8 ladies together who said that they would be down for this experiment before they even knew what the experiment was. So the experiment really 8 ladies all together, all of us single, and we were supposed to start dating. So the parameters were that.
Wait, Steph, before you tell us the parameters, can you tell us what dating means? Like, what is dating?
Okay, so for me, for me, there's like 2 aspects to dating, right? So you can either date just because you want to go meet new people, or you can be dating with intention. Dating with intention is you're looking for a relationship. You're looking for your future boyfriend, husband, whatever the case may be. And where I say you can be casually dating now, you're going out to meet people. You might not have any immediate plans to settle down, but with everything, you have to practice if you're going to get good at it. And we tend not to practice dating. And so that's a big part of it. So the casual dating is you kind of practicing so that when you get more serious, or you feel like your life is in a position where you're now ready to find that mate, you know what you're going out there, you know what are the questions to ask, you know what you don't like, you know what you're looking for. So that's why I said, kind of just you want to get the practice in. So that's how I look at dating. 2 sides of it.
Before you go on, Steph, Nyree.
Yes, ma'am.
What you agree with Stephanie on what dating?
On my personal view of dating, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's dating with intention. You know that you want to be in a relationship, but not everybody wants to be in a relationship. And if you're not wanting to be in a relationship, does that mean you're going to sit at home every day by yourself, or you're only going to go out with your girlfriends? What is so horrible about grabbing a coffee or a lunch with somebody and having a conversation? This default that we have a lot of the times that it must go somewhere. No, but why? We can't eat the little food and go our separate ways. Why not?
Well, that's a question that I would ask. So, like, what do you consider a date?
Anything and everything.
Everything, exactly. Why is a date not a cup of coffee with somebody that is 20 minutes or 30 minutes? Dating for a lot of people mean, as my granny used to say, you put on your pretty dandan, you put on your face powder and everything, and you go out and you have a formal meal or something. No, not in 2021. people are busy. We don't necessarily have time for that. And if all I'm trying to do is to get to know you, get to know your vibe, what's wrong with a half an hour conversation?
Yeah.
So we both know that at the end of this half an hour,
Okay.
I've got to go.
Yeah. And sometimes a 2 hour long dinner date is intimidating. So knowing that you're
Exactly.
gonna half an hour, you can be more open to who you're gonna go out with because there is a set time, right? And then you can kind of say, okay, is this somebody I'd be willing to go and sit down for 2 hours at a dinner with?
And it's always the important part for me is to be able to say to yourself and the person, no, I don't want to commit 2 hours to you. This 15 minutes, I'm good on that.
You know what? I think we should ask our emergers or everyone that's watching the question: do you date? Do you believe that you date?
Date.
Whether you're in Jamaica or in foreign or wherever, do you currently date? Are you dating?
Because it's very interesting how you ladies set out dating, because really we love to think about it as dress up, put up face, put on lipstick and put on a nice dress, the little black dress, and you go out to dinner. But it can be, and I remember Stephanie, one of the things you said, sometimes really you need to have an intro date with a coffee to know if you can have a date that encourages eating.
Yeah. That's facts.
Daniel says, my anxiety doesn't allow it. Derek says, these 30-minute dates sound like the intro.
But it is the intro.
Intro, yeah.
Put it this way, not everybody we've ever been introduced to has become a friend, a confidant, or a colleague.
Yeah.
Meeting somebody who you can have a potential relationship or friendship with should be treated no different.
Yes. You have to be a little bit discerning about it. And I think because we think of it as this...
Sorry, I just saw Jayshree's comment. She said, I try to, but in a relationship the next day. LOL.
Because when you sit down and you have these 2 hour long dates, you feel like you have to know the person at a certain level before you can go out with them. Whereas if you meet somebody in a situation, I mean, say back in the day when the world was open, you meet somebody at the club or at a party and you don't really know him, you don't have all that background, but you say, let's exchange numbers and I can grab a coffee with you. So, you're giving him an opportunity to better represent himself in a scenario that allows for that. And you also feel a little bit safer because you're like, okay, well, I'll meet you there and I can leave by a certain time because, it's the middle of the workday. There's no commitment past this half an hour.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Matthew says that we need to include the men in the conversation. Matthew, we are going to include the men, just not tonight. So we have a whole segment dedicated to the men, okay?
But we like your engagement. Very
exciting.
But maybe the conversation, let us know.
Exactly, because maybe
the
Matthew
men
might
stepping
want
out
to,
militant.
Matthew may want to join in at the end, and we can send him the link so he can be a part of this conversation as well. So Matthew, let us know.
And people, if you're just joining us because your friend said Unuga Panda link here right now, you are with the Emerge Trio, and we are joined by the fabulous Stephanie Graham and the original good gal herself, Nyree Coke. So tonight we're talking is big people business. So it's big people night tonight, and we are talking about dating. Steph, so you put out this thing on Instagram as only Stephanie Graham would. And did you actually expect that anybody would respond? Because I have a shy way. And 8 women responded. What age groups were these women?
So everybody was over 30, but it ranged up to about 45. So it was a pretty broad range, Yeah.
Okay. And so there had to be some rules.
There are definitely rules. There's lots of rules, actually. So once I got together the 8 ladies, which some were people that I knew very well, some were, more like acquaintances, or I didn't know as well, people on my Instagram, and got them together. And the rules were that the broad rule, right? Within a 2-month span, you had to go on dates with 6 different guys.
Ooh.
So it's really aggressive. And it being that aggressive allowed you to have to think, where am I going to find these 6 guys to go on a date with? No, there were some caveats. So in the 6 guys, you had to have one date, which was a shoot your shot. So you have to ask the guy out. And you had to have one date that was completely blind. Like, literally, I would say, he's in a blue shirt and he's Japanese. Go.
Oh, so you would set up the blind date?
Well, through liaising, or I would ask them to try and ask their friends. But
Friends.
everybody said, listen, my friends don't have anybody for me. This is why I've been single. They don't want to set me up.
Daniel said, where you find 6 man from?
I was about to say, this is why I'm single. I'm looking at you, Garfield Reese. I'm kidding.
Yeah, so
Go, Seb.
finding the 6 guys was the challenge, because no, you cannot be at your house every Friday evening watching your Netflix. You have to start going out mingling and finding opportunities to meet new people. And I said, listen, you don't know. Your future husband could be your cousin, best friend, brother. You need to start letting people know that you are out there, that you're on the market, that you're willing to date, and stop this going out in big groups of women, because it's intimidating to men. 6 girls at a table is not something a man wants to walk up to try and ask you out or get your attention. And also to kind of shift up your circle. So that was a very big thing about the 8 ladies, that they weren't friends. I was the only real common factor. I mean, a few people knew each other. Go ahead, Nyree, sorry.
No, and one of the things, I don't think it was one of the explicit rules, but also for us as a group, because we had our own WhatsApp group. So we had tons of really, really awesome female conversation, but shift your dating, I don't know, your dating blinders. So if you only do plus or minus 5 years, are you willing to do plus or minus 10 for a date? Never said a relationship, for a date. If you only date senior executives. And once again, some women are very rigid that way. What standard can you look at shifting, not compromising, let's be clear, to expand your dating pool? Because the unfortunate thing about a small island is our circles are narrow.
Very.
Would you, so is it that he has to be from Kingston? Can he be from Montego Bay? Can he be from Mandeville? You don't. How can you shift? There you go, balaclava. How can you shift as part of our general conversation? How can we shift our focus to widen our opportunities? Because everybody was like, 6 man, whole of 6, where?
Yeah, and I had to reinforce that it's just a date. This is not necessarily dating with intention. This is a going out to a date because we're trying to determine, are there really no good men? You might meet a man and he's a good man, but he's not a good man for you. You can recommend him to somebody else.
There you go.
There's a lot of comments in the chat where women are saying that we are stigmatized for dating. And I think, and Michelle made a comment that a lot of people equate dating to having sex. And I think that's the first thing that we need to dispel, right? Yeah. Dating is getting to know somebody, whether it is on a superficial level or on a deeper level. It's not about having a physical interaction. It's about having a conversation to get to know. This is how we're classifying dating, right? So we want to be very clear about that. Imru, just to reiterate to the men, since them I get well answered on the live, we are going to have a session for the men alone. And if you would like to be a part of the conversation, please let us know.
Because Imru says he has a voice. But just on that point of stigmatized, because when you said 2 months and 6 men, and I was thinking that's 4 weeks in each month, so that's probably like say 8 weeks.
Right.
Since the place small and so, you know.
And it's 8 different women, Rashi. And it's 8 different women.
And it's 8 different women. But did questions come up in the group like, suppose people like book me, like me did date them last week and they booked me on a date this week?
Oh, we actually had that scenario happen to one of our daters. That literally happened to someone. They were on their date 2 and date 1 walked in. But again, I mean, I told everybody, be transparent. You know, there's nothing wrong to saying to somebody, I am dating. Dating means I'm not seeing you alone. I am willing to see a lot of people.
People don't know what dating means. So that's not what they're thinking. So I think, how do we start to, I mean, and this is going off track a little bit, but how do we start to change that conversation?
I'm sorry.
I think this is exactly how we change the conversation, though. Because I don't know that outside of when we had the group with Stephanie, I don't know how many of us outside of our very close girlfriend circle have a conversation about dating.
No.
Do we have that conversation just generally to say, hey, I'm dating, met
No,
somebody,
because
didn't
it's
meet
always you're
somebody.
talking to somebody. And it's
Yes.
always one person that you're talking to for however many months till you realize this never make no sense.
And that is part of what we are trying to get away from.
Yes.
Do you need to commit to 6 months, 3 months, 1 month? Do you even need to commit to the 2 hours? That's why we're saying do the half an hour coffee or do the 1 hour in the middle of the day lunch. Dip your chippy finger in the water.
And how many dates do you have before you transition to not dating? Like, how?
Well, that's up for you to decide. And I think for me, because I've continued dating, not sticking to just dating one person and trying to date a lot of people makes it a lot clearer. Like, I'm really into this person, I'm not into that person, I like to respond to this one as soon as they message me back. That one, not so much. I find him a little annoying. So having your attention diverted in a way allows you to be a little bit clearer, rather than when you only have one person that you're focusing your attention on, you almost get a little clingy because it's like, this is your one opportunity. This is the one person you have to go out and have dinner with. This is your one chance at love if you're in that mindset. And that's not a good space to be in.
Yeah, Michelle made a really good point, and this is one of the reasons that we're trying to have like a diverse group to talk, because Steph is a young girl compared to the rest of us, Michelle. But she says that dating in your 40s is very different from dating in your 20s or your 30s, because you have a much better understanding of who you are and what you want the older you get, right? And so whereas in your 20s you probably are a lot more open and flexible to what's out there. So you had a very diverse group that you that were a part of the experiment. And did you notice, big up Changi
and his wife, who is also there.
Stephanie, and just because Stephanie's a lawyer, so she would have preserved and reserved all rights to the experiment. I see a Netflix show. This is a whole Netflix show.
There's like so many different things, right? But Steph, tell us about the dynamic in terms of the age group. What were some of the differences that you saw? Mind you still haven't finished telling us about the experiment.
Right. So let's go back to the experiment. So these 6 women or 8 women have to go on 6 dates over a 2-month period.
Not 6 dates, date 6 different
people.
Because you can date somebody more than once if you want to. That's up to you.
6 different people over a 2-month period.
Right. Yeah, 1 shooter shot, 1 blind date.
Okay.
Right.
And then the rest is just whatever.
Yeah, so I would give tips. I definitely gave like locations that you could go to. Of course, like Nyree said, we discussed the fact that a date doesn't have to be a 2-hour sit-down dinner. And so therefore you don't end up with 8 weekends, you end up with 60 days. There's 60 days for you to find just 6 dates, or 6 outings rather. So that I thought was that was an interesting aspect of it. But it became very hard for people to find these 6 dates because they weren't out there. They weren't putting themselves out there. They didn't know how to approach people. Even just letting their friends know they were dating was a bit challenging. And so, we had to then create opportunities. And the group being diverse, I said, was very important, because then now we got to know each other in the little WhatsApp group chat we had, and we had different outings. So I definitely did like a one night at a bar, and I got some single guys. Like I messaged all my guy friends, and I was like, do you know good single men? I just doesn't care the age. Like, we just want an opportunity to go, to mingle, to practice dating essentially. And we did it in a structure that felt a little bit safer for some people. Some people were so open to like the blind date, the shoot your shot, which I will say is the most nerve-wracking thing ever. Asking someone out is not easy, and based on that, women should not turn guys down just so flippantly. We take it for granted. It is not something simple. You can give the man a coffee date unless he's a stalker. Like, that's the bare minimum you can do. No, seriously, because the anxiety I had in the pit of my stomach asking the person out was not okay.
So listen to the man, them are getting well defensive, because they're saying the qualities that a good man have We don't want that. Imbru said, when I go and pick up a man where want to drop down a halfway tree or go take a robot taxi. And I agree with Michelle. Ty, it depends on the age and the stage that you're at in your life.
Right.
You
And
know?
so whether you're dating or you're dating with intention. So
Right.
I think that is the
Right.
distinction you
Go
need to
back to
make,
that-
you know.
that
Are you
distinction.
just dating? And if you're just dating, then I don't want to say anybody, but you're a little bit more flexible. Whereas if you're dating with intention, you know what your negotiables and your non-negotiables are. Like I like to say.
And if you're just coming out of school and you know that person is in school or coming out of school, there's a lot of different things that would factor in at that point.
Right.
Yeah.
And the challenge with the thinking your date has to be at dinner, you make it intimidating for some men, you know.
Yep.
A guy will see someone like Nyree, who is an executive at a company, and think, I cannot less than carry her to Majestic if we're going on a date. Whereas when you change the parameters and you're like, listen, a little cafe blue or cannonball works. You know, I'm okay to get some patty down at Devon House and sit down on the bench for half hour. You open up a lot of doors and a lot of different opportunities.
And I
Is
think
that one
when
of the
you
rules
have
as well to kind of just really open your mind and just
Yeah, that
Do
was the
something
main
different.
thing. Get out
do
of your
something
comfort
different.
zone.
Comfort zone, yes. And it's not easy to get out of your comfort zone. Fully appreciate and understand that. And I see some of the comments from the men. We understand that it's not easy for you too, and you will have your opportunity when it's your turn. But we understand that it's not easy for you. And sometimes I think one of the things I got out of it was to try and make it a little easier, to be more open. And because I had this is my parameter. And if you fall outside of it, you're not even going to, I'm going to be like, okay, boo, bye.
Yeah.
But then you miss a lot of great people that way.
Yes.
And a lot of these great people, they will have to be romantic partners.
Right.
These are people who can just be interesting in your life. These are amazing networking opportunities as well, where
Could be a
a lot
business
of us
contact.
exactly. Or it could just be a nice person.
Yeah.
The Bottom Network mentions dating with intention is important as you mature. And she says, what's the purpose? Dating with intention. Can we touch on, I have a friend, Naomi Garrick, that she describes it as seeking a ready man.
I was like, what?
So like we're at KFC.
So let me
It's
say,
their original chicken.
for me,
I like to call him the evolved man.
I had to get very, as you said,
Let's hear versions, Dem.
I had to get very intentional, right? So I was not dating for years. Years to the point that people thought that maybe I was not interested in men because I just was not dating because I didn't see or feel what I knew I wanted in my life. And as Michelle said, as you get older, for me at least, I was very clear on what I was looking for. And I started to be very intentional with not even what I wanted this person to look like, but how I wanted to feel in a relationship. And so it's very easy for me to, even meeting someone, having conversations, know very quickly that this is not for me based on what I have set out for myself. But like you guys, even though I didn't do a dating experiment, I was very, very intentional. I rebought this book, guys, which, listen, don't sleep on Steve Harvey.
It's the
My
Bible.
book is full of highlights. It just gave some very good pointers about things that we don't do. Like we don't ask the hard questions early. We kind of waiting to see. And the thing is, if you ask those questions early, then you know if you're going to be wasting your time or not, right? So I was looking at those things. And then I also invested in like a love coach, like just someone who from her own experience was kind of able to guide me with the things I should be looking for, like going back in my love history, which doesn't necessarily mean romantic relationships, but even looking at what love looked like for my parents or my grandparents or people around me, and what were some of the things that I wanted in my relationship going forward. So that really helped me to be in the place that I'm in right now, where I'm in a great relationship. But it started off with being just super intentional. And like Nyree, it was a cup of coffee that really started everything.
And just to touch
What
on being
one cup of coffee can do. So Steph,
just to touch on being intentional,
yes.
you don't have to You don't have to decide in the moment that I want to be in a relationship. Somebody in the comments said it's very different dating in your 40s, and I can praise Jesus, testify, hallelujah, dip and fall back. But one of the things that I have learned at this point in my life, and for anybody that knows me knows I'm a big believer in therapy, and I've spent a lot of time in therapy examining my own self. And I had a conversation with my therapist one day, and we were talking about dating and what was I looking for in a person and what were my requirements and da da da. And she touched on something. She said, when did the ceiling become the floor? Or when did the floor become the ceiling? Why are your base requirements the ceiling? You need to change your thinking. So when you get base, understand that it is base. Not because you have for such a long time not had above base, does it mean that it's the ceiling. If you require more, say to yourself, I require more than this.
Yeah.
What this person is offering is not enough. And if it's perfectly fine if they have nothing else to offer, you move on and you find the courage in yourself to say to this person, you know, we are not in that space, or you are not providing what I require.
Yeah.
Thank you for your time. I think a lot of us sometimes when we're dating are afraid to step out and say, okay, no, this is not what it is. I don't have to accept that second date or the third date.
Or the
The,
third
the
day.
30-minute coffee was good.
Was enough.
It gave me enough.
And I think sometimes we also, I think the one of the big steps that we forget as we get into this dating space is really loving ourselves too, like really finding out more about ourselves and what do we really love to do. Because I find that sometimes we get into these relationships and because we're in the pleasing stage of, you know, wanting everything to be great, then you kind of, as Trace had mentioned, your non-negotiables change as you get older, but sometimes we're in that stage where we don't even remember what those non-negotiables were because we're so caught up in the romance that we kind of lose some of ourselves, and then we realize it catches up back with us a little bit later in the dating process when we realize, oh, but I actually really don't like this stuff, but I was going along with it because we were in the moment. So I think it's very important that as we're thinking about getting into that space or we're in the space, just really do some introspection to see, you know, who we are and what are the things that we're really into too.
Yeah,
And
I
you
think
know how you said, Nai, that you are clear on the things that you want? For me, I was clear on the things that I didn't want. And I think that that's also something that helps to guide you to what you want. When you can easily eliminate the things that you don't want, it makes you start to appreciate more the things that you want.
Yeah, I
Such
think
a-
when you're definitely getting into the point of dating with intention, like for me, because I'm now in a dating with intention phase, I have a list of like all the qualities that I am looking for in a person. And then when I completed that list, I had to then go and say, does the person on this piece of paper, am I worthy of that person I'm looking for?
That
What are the
too.
things I need to be bringing to the table? And I really had to sit down and assess that. And then what are just the absolute things that I'm not going to be flexible on? Like, I'm not a smoker. Nobody in my family smokes. That is just a deal breaker for me. Like, that's a non-negotiable. You know, whereas I'm flexible to dating somebody who has been married before or who may have a kid. Those things don't bother me. Whereas I know other people are just absolutely not. So yeah, you have to be really clear on that. And dating yourself is super important. I think we take that for granted because if you don't know the standards that you like, the things you like, the restaurants you're willing to splash your money out on, the nice things you want to buy for yourself, how will you know what when somebody else is doing the things that make you feel, you know, fulfilled, feel good about yourself? So I think that's really important. Also, I believe in dating myself. I date my friends. I'll be like, let's go on a date. We're going so and so. We're just two of us kind of vibe. And then, of course, getting to the point where you're dating someone with intention and knowing how you want them to show up for you.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Women with like amazing women like a Stephanie and a Nyree. Like when you step out in a good up clothes and a face ever beat and ever ready, and then in the gym and work on a body. And so, you know, sometimes some men out there, they're looking and they're saying to themselves, but me couldn't all take Stephanie gone away because Stephanie, sometimes me just would that bunks a patty and a cocoa bread. We say Imra try draw out Nyree. part
Let me
of
say cracker and there we go, tasty.
that you can't. But isn't a part of the getting to know too is also understanding some of the seemingly simple things that you just enjoy.
Yes.
And recognizing too that sometimes people just have a perception. So sometimes
Yes.
men are intimidated because them is like, well, that have to be a date.
Yeah.
To pull
And
out
for
all the
me,
stops.
and I think that happens pretty often to me where people are like, they want to take it out. Like the only thing I have as a requirement for me to go out with you is for you to make a plan. These men have a way that them love
Oh
to
my
message you and
God.
say, when am I gonna see you? I'm like,
What you
I
up
don't
to?
know. When are
What
you?
doing? I don't know. What are you doing?
Make a
I'm
plan,
on
sir.
my couch. Yes, men, don't message me with WYD, please, sir. Don't do it. I'm
And
not interested.
please stop. Hi, how you doing? Or
Doing-
hi, good morning, beautiful. Stop good morning, beautiful me. You good morning, beautiful me to death. Okay? 7 days of good morning, beautiful is too much. Okay? I would like you to come with a little banter, or if you're not good, because some people aren't good through the messaging, just make the plan and we go. And I will definitely give you a second date because I know first date. Me, I'm a very A-type personality. We show up, I ask the waiter his name, I ask him what's good on the, like, you're lucky if you get a word in edgewise, which is something I need to check. But also, I definitely will allow you another opportunity to go out with me. So you are now feeling, you take some of your walls down and some of the insecurities down. Because that first date, if it has been something you've been thinking about for a long time, can be very, very intimidating on both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A
but
question that I have though is even as we are talking about like men having a plan and so on. We did touch on it earlier. If you are dating, if you're in the verb of dating,
The comments are killing us.
I'm dying. I'm dying. I'm
comments
dying.
I turned my head away.
Morning.
yes, morning walk with an umbrella today. Yes, as long as we're
You
walking
see,
somewhere
that
safe,
is
let's
why
go
they
for a
say we
walk.
don't want no good man. Look how the man checking to make sure you take your umbrella today.
And if anybody check my IG story, there's a picture from my 3-mile morning walk this morning. So if him did come with the umbrella, we could have did walk. But where was he?
Somebody checking for me and asking me what I had for lunch or if I ate, you are already my good books. Because food high on my list of requirements. You see, me, that's why dating is so good to me, dating myself, dating friends, because I love good food and drinks, man.
Look here, and I eat patty all the while, but you need to find out if I want a chicken or I want a beef with cheese.
Or just
So
send
don't
all
ask
of
what
them.
you're doing.
Send all of them. If me and
There you
Nyree work
go.
same place, so if you send all of them, she will have the
I set up in sugar and spice patty line regular.
and
I was
not
just
nicer to
there
me than a
today.
sugar and spice curry, fried chicken
Getting
with
my
curry.
beef patty and a slice of birthday cake.
But you're hearing these ladies. What ladies, the dating though, just coming back. Because at what stage, how many dates is we moving from dating? And say, for instance, you're vibing with somebody and you've gone to coffee, you've probably gone for a drink and had some finger food, and then you probably went for a longer dinner, you went for a drive. Are you supposed to focus on dating them and see where that goes, or can you still be dating?
Multi-dating.
Well, I think it really depends on you as the individual. You may want to focus on that one person if you're feeling a vibe with them. But before you focus in on that one individual, I think it's important for you to know, are you both on the same page? Because for you to go and focus in on them and then don't feel the same way about you, and then you go dating yourself or dating your friends and book him up with another girl, you're going to feel crushed. And you cannot choose someone who is not going to choose you back.
Yeah. And I
So
think that
part
is
of
an
that-
important thing, because sometimes we are in a relationship when the person and we are dating.
Yeah.
And like, no, we're big people. We're supposed to ask the question like,
which is exactly it.
What are your
At the-
intentions for me,
Intentions
sir?
for me, sir.
what are your intentions for me, sir?
But not
That
only
is-
that, what
that's
about
a
saying what my
very-
intentions for you are as well? I'm as Roshi said, I'm a grown woman. If we've done coffee, done a couple of dates, and I really am vibing with you and I want to see where this goes, I need to have a conversation with you and say, I'm really vibing you. I want to see where this goes. Does that mean we are only going to date exclusively? We need to have that discussion.
Yeah.
If
Don't stop
if
assuming.
he exactly, and if the person
Assuming or just playing along with the
It is.
whatever, with the going
Exactly.
with the flow.
oh, but I've only been dating you, but I never asked you to.
Right.
And that was not the expectation that I set. Setting realistic expectations and vocalizing your
we hear all the time
expectations.
that women will say that they're in a relationship and the man is like,
I don't have no
Right.
girlfriend. So the
Right.
question that I ask as like a preliminary question now is not whether you have a girlfriend. It is if someone saw us out together right now, would they feel hurt?
Yeah.
And I mean that's a totally different thing
Wow,
because
that's
there are
really deep.
or does somebody else think they're in a relationship with you?
Yeah.
Or just somebody
Wait to
else.
say
But
no because
sometimes
he
they
tell you
say
that you
no,
never
they're
give
not
any
in a
reason.
relationship, but somebody else believes that they're in a relationship with said person.
Yeah,
And
but
Tracy says,
I
it's
find men are very
important to
crazy.
ensure your version of dating or a relationship is the same as the other person's.
Yeah.
And you
absolutely.
can say, how long from dating till we're there?
Yeah.
No, that is up to you. That is an individual choice.
Long from dating today. You said that there are some questions like in that first, that date. There's some things that you want to delve in and questions. And sometimes women are afraid to ask too much question on the first date because the man I got things say you're too ash with them. You ask so much question, you can chatty. And what kind of questions do you ask? And what's the kind of response? Do men think, wow, she's just an interrogator?
Well, I'm
There
gonna
is
get that
nothing wrong.
nonetheless because I'm definitely gonna interrogate you. But me personally, I don't like to get too deep in the beginning. Your last relationship, maybe how long ago that was, finding out, if there is somebody else that would be hurt, just generally, where are you? Are you dating? Are you seeing a lot of people? What you vibe, what you enjoy to do. Some things that get me to know you without it being too heavy. If we have that first conversation, it's good, it's laughter. We get to know some of those things and we both have a mutual interest, then we're planning the next date and we can get a little bit deeper and deeper because I find that people tend to get into, as we said, these relationships early on out and they're not clear on certain things. Do you want to have children? Do you believe in marriage? And they end up in these relationships and then 3 years down the line, them say, oh, but I never think you did serious when you did say that. Which blows my mind.
So let me refer to our dear friend Steve Harvey. He says there are 5 questions every woman should ask before she gets in too deep. 1, what are your short-term goals? 2, what are your long-term goals? And that's where we'd ask the questions about children and marriage and all that kind of stuff. 3, what are your views on relationships? Because everybody's views on relationships, just like how we're having this debate about dating, is different. 4, what do you think about me? And 5, how do you feel about me? Because those are 2 different things.
Yeah.
Guys, this book is it.
And I mean, those may not all be for your date 1, but definitely in the first month or 2.
If you're thinking of moving
Serious.
from dating to another level.
Yeah. And I think learning about how someone relates to their family and that kind of dynamic ends up playing a very important part,
role.
even though you don't necessarily want to put somebody in a box because of it. I mean, even for me, like I was dating somebody at a point. I mean, with maybe over 2.5 month, 3 month span, we'd gone on like 5 or 6 dates. And by date 6, I was like, yeah, we're going out and we're eating food, but I don't see this going anywhere. And I just had to like message him one day and just be like, it's been a good time and I'm not so sure how you feel, but this is how I'm feeling about it. We can remain friends. We're cool. It's not any hard feelings, but I'm not seeing it progressing anywhere with you.
Yeah. Nyree, over to you now. I noticed earlier in the chat, some people were commenting that, with COVID and so COVID mash up dating. Is dating still going on during COVID?
Yes, but you probably have to mix up your game a little bit. Especially with the COVID being where the COVID is. So one of the things I did, and is part of, I would say, coming out of Stephanie's experiment and being open to doing different things, I went away for 6 to 8 weeks too, because we're working from home anyway. And I joined a dating app. I would
Ooh,
never.
which one did you use?
I joined Hinge. So Hinge is about geographic proximity, is who they match you with, along with different criteria. And I ended up talking to a whole bunch of people. Some were catfish, but also you met a whole diverse group of people. I remember having an initial WhatsApp conversation with a gentleman who said he needs somebody to be like the mother of Christ. I said, well, I'm not.
No, sir, not over here.
Close, shut, move on. But it was also very interesting because people were very willing in that forum to say very quickly, this is what I'm looking for. Point blank period. Are you on any of these things? Yes, no. Yes, we can continue the conversation. No. Okay, move along. But dating in the time of COVID, I think, has been challenging for a lot of us. Trying to learn how to meet people virtually and get a sense of someone virtually is not easy. I mean, if I don't go on another Zoom call or another Zoom meeting, it will really be too soon. But you flex and you adapt and you exist in the spaces in which you are comfortable.
Yeah, and Stephen Dawkins, actually, thanks Stephen Season, says, I've been hearing brunch dates and coffee is a new thing with COVID going on. And Tracy is glad to have exited the dating world.
So on that note, Stephanie, could you share like one of your success stories with this dating experiment?
Okay, so out of the 8 ladies, one of the ladies did end up in a full-blown relationship out of it and had a baby. So, okay, I have a success story from the experiment. And I must say, I'm going to pat myself on the shoulder because I have put together 2 couples that are now married with children. So, I mean, I'm pretty good at saying.
Are you doing it like as a side profession now? I feel like you have the testimonials to charge now for this service.
I'm going to do another experiment.
How we actually show up. Stephanie, one of the things you had said, is that sometimes like we get invited to a wedding and we turn up kind of vexed, like, oh, I know me, I'm married.
No, man, you have to show up with your nicest dress on, your prettiest smile, be happy for your friends. I mean, I went to a wedding for a friend shortly before pandemic, so that would have been like November 2019, and I ended up with like 3 dates out of the wedding. So, yeah. Okay. So,
money in my life.
Weddings are a gold mine if you do it right, okay? Because everybody else
saw Wedding Crasher, right? So that must have been based off of something real.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just letting people in your circle know that you're dating. It is important. I mean, first of all, some guy came to me the other day and was just like, I thought you're in a relationship. I was like, you've known me for 16 years. The whole 16, you thought I was in a relationship? You never try. You never ask any questions. You're never serious.
But we all have, some of my close male friends, when they're like, I'm out there, I'm looking, I don't have no good friend, And I'm like,
I don't need you to determine if they're good.
The men throw their own friends under the bus.
The bus.
Every single time.
Imru is the men sometimes throwing their own friend them under the bus. They're like,
ask Matthew that same question. Matthew get very quiet all of a sudden. I wonder if he's not on this anymore.
He was commenting earlier, the male friends are not helpful at all. Yes, Tracy, we have quite a few of the male friends. Like some of them are going to be on the show in 2 weeks, Tracy. So stay tuned for that one. But it's the truth. Men, I mean, some of our girlfriends, so we have Naya and I have a WhatsApp group with women that are in the PR marketing space, right? And majority of us are single. We've had 2 that have gotten married since, and 3 that have gotten married since, and 1 that was married before. But we're all successful, right? We spent a lot of time, of course, in our career. And men used to always say to us that men are intimidated by us. But and
that's your
always, if a man is intimidated by me, then it can't be for me, right? Because
no, that's his problem.
And so there were women on here that were commenting about men saying that they're intimidated by them. Daniel was one of the people that commented. I think sometimes the male friends know too much. I agree, 100%. Sometimes the male friends know too much.
But as someone said here, people do change. One of those male friends might meet the right female, and like
this is a big part of it. Like I had to say to people, stop taking other people's opinions as the gospel on this guy. Because him did break your friend heart 10 years ago, don't mean that's the same man today. You have changed and evolved in 10 years. You have grown, and we have to give other people that space to have grown. So that's why I say, just be open to the dates. Allow the man to represent himself. You know, don't let anybody else do it for him.
But you know, we live in an Insta world, right? And we're talking about this before the show, that especially in Jamaica, because of the not even 2 degrees of separation, you always end up with somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody, so you can get the whole file on the person.
Don't ask no question.
Don't
ask any question.
Dig up a file, and you sometimes dig up an old file, or it could be that the person has grown. Maybe the file is right too. But the other thing, though, ladies, is sometimes we have a perception in our head. We create a picture. So not only how he makes me feel, but we also create a picture of how him for look, how him teeth for look, how him foot for look, how him body for look. And sometimes, like, you may go on a date and the man know so pretty, like, oh, you love pretty man. And we get a little closed off because we're like teeth. But is it that sometimes we also block ourselves?
Oh, for sure.
We block our own blessings
all the time.
All the time.
By limiting the circles, the people, the looks, so to an extent, you kind of have to, while you're practicing dating, throw away your requirements list.
Exactly.
And not saying that when you're being intentional, you don't regard it. That's a totally different thing. But
requirements and standards are 2 different things. Yeah. Let's also be clear. And if physical requirements can change, I may not be someone's physical ideal of beauty, but maybe what I'm bringing to the table in every other way is important. And when I was younger, I believed that attraction had to be immediate. That if I met a guy and there wasn't just this instant he wasn't going to be it. I'm here to tell you, in my 40s, I know that's not true.
Facts.
Yeah, attraction grows, interest grows. And I mean, when we were younger, right, we were in a lot of spaces where our walls were down. School, so you ending up into relationships with people just because you're around them and you're hanging out on the spine together or whatever the case is. And now as adults, we don't really have that many places. You go to work. Many people don't want to date somebody who is in their workspace. You might go to a gym, but outside of that, you're going drinking with the set of friends you know. So you have to take your walls down. You have to step outside of yourself if you're going to meet somebody. Because if the person who you're supposed to marry was already in your circle, you should have known by this.
However, you just made me almost laugh out like a crazy person. Sometimes it's the representative that shows up for the first week, 8 weeks, and then the real man.
Listen, the representative don't show up just for 8 weeks. That representative is there until you break your walls down very often. But that is for a man who is not evolved or not already man, as like Naomi likes to say, because that man is out to deceive you. A man, and I mean, I had a very recent experience with deceit, but it doesn't matter what age somebody is, if they're not mature, if they're not clear about themselves and what they want for their lives, they will always come and have to show you a facade. Because they're trying to get one over on you. You know, they're not really about building or going somewhere, having an intentional relationship. Because a man who is ready and has intention is going to be very, very clear about what he wants, what he's okay with, what he's putting up with, that kind of thing. And so you also need to be very clear about that, because you're not auditioning for a role. You are interviewing somebody.
And Stephen Dawkins, Stephen, you are killing us here. Stephen first says, if you like pretty man, you like pretty man. No, so then Stephen goes on to say, think as time goes on and social expectations change, physical attractiveness may be a greater factor for women than in previous times. Man can't just good again.
But it goes the same way for women. Women can't just good again. You have to be living up to these social ideals of, the BBL and the perfect body and the IG model. People are very jaded in what they're thinking, and they think is out there because IG is there on their seat every day on their screen, forgetting that sometimes just because it's on your Instagram screen doesn't mean it's actually accessible to you.
Or it's not real life.
Yeah. And we see Norma, gonna spice up Norma. Nyree Norma says, what do you mean? We need the file. We need the file.
You can get the file eventually, but you shouldn't get the file before you go on the date.
And I think part of that, you don't want the file to prejudice
your date,
your date or your opinion of the person. And once, as Roshi said, how old is that file? So the file could be 10 years old, completely different person. Yeah. Do I want all of that information before I even said, hi, how are you doing? My name is. I think for me personally in my dating life, I don't want to know. Yeah. If there is something that is so egregious that one of my best friends or my brothers would come to me and say, my girl, differently still. I think we all have had a differently still conversation from a friend. We know what those parameters are. I don't want to know about who you dated 10 years ago. I don't want to know that you did cheat on her 10 years ago.
Right.
That can't tell me who you are right now and in this moment.
And I mean, we all have a friend who can dig up the file.
I feel like a little intel is not necessarily it depends on who you're getting the intel from, right?
Well, as I say, you can get the intel, just don't get it beforehand. You can get it during the process, So we go on a first date. The first date went okay. You go on the second date. You say, all right, we do the 2 dinner. Say, I could like him, Then I'm going to, I think she's here in the chat today. I'm going to message my friend Leslie and say, listen,
Leslie,
make it a file. Yes. And Leslie is going to bring up the entire file. Okay?
Yeah, I agree with Nyree though. I don't feel like I necessarily want the entire file, but I just want to know the things that I should be aware about.
Yeah, Tracy made a very good point though, because you're only getting it from that person's perspective and what they want to tell you.
True.
So they're selecting
and we are assuming that their file is the truth.
Accurate or
and also you're never ever too sure what that person's intention is. You don't know, maybe they did like the guy back in the day and maybe it never work out and they don't tell you that part of the story and they're telling you just their experience. You just really don't know.
And I've had that situation also where somebody tried to prejudice me against someone because they had history with the person.
Yeah. Oh my God, there's so many comments. Can we highlight what Matthew is saying here? Says, what are men looking for in women? We're often told what we should be looking for, but if it's not matching up with reality, what
use
are those beliefs to analyze in what men want? Thoughts, panelists?
Well, I can't tell a man what he wants. He's supposed to know what he wants, just like how I know what I want.
He continues with saying, for the purpose of us being willing to give commitment.
Again, that's an individual thing. My requirements, my non-negotiables, they're gonna be very different from Nyree's. So we have to know ourselves, and that's why having the list of what you want, what you're looking for, and what you need to show up as to get those things is important. You can't be unclear if you're going to be dating with intention and dating looking for
and using those dates as the starting point to getting that information for yourself. Have a conversation. It doesn't have to be what's your favorite color or what did you have for lunch. I read constantly. I love books. What's your favorite book? Why is it your favorite book? I can recite poetry. That's who I am. This is who I am as a person. So me being somebody who is in love with books may not necessarily be you. I have dated lots of guys who probably hadn't picked up a book from high school. But what was important was that they understood that I have a love and appreciation for the spoken word. One of the best gifts I ever got from an ex-boyfriend was a leather-bound copy of The Bluest Eye by Maya Angelou. That is my favorite book.
That's
It
a
is a letter
thoughtful
book.
gift. It's a thoughtful gift.
Yeah, with my name engraved on the front. He had
And it
not read the
shows that
book.
he cares. That
I'm sure
gift shows he cares.
I'm sure, other than picking it up off the shelf, he did not even read the cover leaf. But only because I said, this is my favorite book, he thought, let me give this to her as a gift. I had at least 3 copies of that book on my shelf already, but I have that book still to this day.
Wow. No, that's amazing. And so in a situation like that, Nyree, so that's a very thoughtful gift. And you could be, I must say, I say Andre Vassiano, a big show this, when Andre Vassiano is on it. I'm putting Vassi
My
back.
brothers have rolled out for me.
Yeah, hear him say, Miss Coke in the spotlight, half a day.
But question though, you get a thoughtful gift and things are moving along. And I say Matthew Gabadan has been trying to draw this point out to ask this question. Who determines if we are moving on to a next level? Who determines whether or not we have a commitment?
That has
We
to be a
determine.
mutual.
It's not just it's the man.
No.
It's mutual.
No.
You can't determine that for me,
No.
and I can't
No,
determine
sir.
that for you. We are moving together, so we have to make the decision. I can't move without you.
And I can't go without you either. You can't move without me if I am not ready. Suppose where we are now, I need to be here for a little bit longer because I am not sure I want to take the next step. Do I want to be committed and exclusive to you? Maybe I'm not there yet.
And if you can't wait, that's okay. Because then we're not ready right for each other.
But there's nothing wrong with me saying, sorry. There's nothing wrong with me saying, I need to be in this space for a little bit longer. I need us to spend more time together. Maybe I need to spend more time around you and your family. Maybe I need to meet your friends. Maybe I need to see how you work in those dynamics. Whatever it is that's going to get me to that point, that is going to get me there. And as Steph said, if I don't get there, that's okay too.
Yeah, but Nyree, I really like how you put that point too, because I think sometimes women, sometimes worse too, if we look already, man, and we want married and so we say, all right, make it go on. Me not so sure if me like him that much, but we are going and it look like say we could have just keep on this path. And we're not honest with ourselves to say that, brother, this is not going anywhere, or I need a little more time in this particular space before we move on.
I will share a conversation that I had with a very, very close personal friend, much older than me, would have been in my parents' age group, that got divorced like after 40 years of marriage. And everybody was, oh, Jesus, how could you do that? And 40 years and children and whatever. And the person said, I was eavesdropping, said, I never liked him. I loved him because he was the father of my children, because he was a provider, because he was these things. But I did not like who he was as a person. And thank God we're away from the days where once you hit a certain age, if you don't get married, it's the end of the world and you pick up whoever, whether I'm ready or I'm not ready.
Yeah.
I think
because he might not be ready for you.
Yeah. People have been, and I think continue to be, because we still see the situations today where because they feel that I'm at the age, or they've had an accident and somebody's pregnant, so this is just the natural progression, and they don't think about, I think, all of the aspects of a marriage, which is not just about love. Friendship definitely has to be there because love fades. We have seasons of it, it can grow, it can fade. If you're going to be with somebody for the next 20, 30, 40 years, you are not going to wake up every day and feel in love with that person. And you're also not going to wake up every day and like that person. So,
and if I can't like you when I'm dating you, we have a problem. But I need to find out if I can like you in different spaces and different situations. That's why we have to date.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, guys. So many comments coming in, but I wanted to just backtrack to a comment that Tracy and Spence had made about understanding your love language is key. We're dropping a lot of books today, guys, but that's another key book, the 5 love languages, and you can do the love language quiz. You just Google it and you'll find it. But the 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, physical touch,
Touch.
acts of service, and receiving gifts. And what is important, not just to know your love language, but to know the person's love language, because
Exactly
you
that.
might be giving the love the way that you want to receive it, and that's not the way that they receive love. So your love language may be quality time, and their love language is acts of service. So
Service.
I prefer you to do something for them than to cuddle and snuggle and watch a movie. So
And I think that's why it's the dating is important, so that I get to know you. I need to figure it out. And the reality is you're not going to figure it out, or it's unlikely that you're going to figure that out in 2 or 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
We
So
should not be at there before we figure out some of those basic things.
You made a point.
Tell you though, Matthew Gabardon, because Matthew is trying to draw out the people. So Matthew, we are going to need your contact. We going to need you for the man version of this conversation.
And I will ask up in the comments.
version, which is
Yeah, because Matthew said it's the men who create relationships and the marriage by virtue of us providing the commitment. Before we go to
Sorry, do you see my face, right? Because like women can choose not to be monogamous also. What kind of world is Matthew living in? Again,
No, but Steph, I think the problem is that this is the way that it has been for so long, that so many of us, and Nyree made a point earlier, when a lot of us, the generations before us, even some of our parents, I mean, we've seen it. This is not new, right?
Yeah.
The problem is that so many of us as women, we always stick around waiting and hoping that this man is going to make the commitment that Matthew talks about, instead of taking charge of our own life and saying, well, if by 2 years or 6 months or 3 years or 5 years, depending on how old you are, I am not married, then I'm not going to stick around or give you an ultimatum. I'm going to move on with my life.
Yeah, and I think that's why you have to be very clear from the outset. What are your goals, what you want, where you're going?
What are your intentions?
And you need to have check-ins in the relationship. We can be fine and dandy, but he never plans to marry me, and marriage is important to me. Why am I still here? And then we cry boo-hoo when you hear that he has cheated or he moved on and married the next one, when you made a choice for yourself to remain in a situation that didn't serve you. So you have to be very clear about yourself, what works for you, what you want, and put yourself first. Not saying that you can't compromise in certain situations, but if you know that these are the things you want to be happy, to live your fulfilled best life, then you cannot settle for less than that.
Can I just ask a question? What is WOD? I'm seeing you guys. I don't know if this is
The workout of the day.
and that's why we don't know what that is. What's that word of the day?
Workout of the day.
Workout
of the day.
Yeah, so like Nyree said, books are a big thing for me. Like, I need a fit man in my life. If you are not deadlifting more than what I am deadlifting, I don't know where we're going. And I mean, you may need to just get your fitness game up, but sir, I am not protecting us.
So it's food and drinks, and I need to lift more than you.
Yeah, man. Food and drinks, lift more than me. We're on a good fit. And ask me out. Be intentional. Set the date. Don't good morning me beautiful to death.
Yeah.
Yes, and as that comment just said, stop ignoring the red flags. Girls, if you don't hear from him after 8 p.m. in the evening, ask a question. If he only keeps office hours when he's talking to you,
No, and if you
only hear from him at 11 and 12 o'clock at night, that's also a red flag.
a red flag.
You ever want to Netflix and chill? No. No goodie. Not the future husband.
And then in those situations, you have to do what Norma said, where you have to get the profile. You got to get the file drawn.
Oh, yeah, man. So if something feels off, believe your instincts, okay? There have been times I've been like, oh, I'm overthinking it. Look at him trying. No, I was right. I didn't know everything. When
the senses were like, girl,
when the file
he's trifling, run.
I literally said to myself, you see, and this is why you must listen to the spirits when them talk to you, Stephanie. If you didn't follow the feeling, when your spirit says something never right here, you wouldn't be in this predicament.
Let me correctly quote. This time, when people show you who they are, believe them the first time.
Not even show you, when they tell you. If a man tells you something that is difficult, believe him. Men are not gonna tell you the worst thing about themselves. As Daniel said, they're gonna come with a representative. So if a man tells you he does not want to be in a relationship, best believe he does not want to be in a relationship. Okay?
Yes,
Exactly.
He's gonna change his mind, or you're gonna change.
You
him.
cannot change him. Why you want to change somebody? You have time, you have all of that energy to invest to change somebody.
Steph, maybe he's a runner, not a weightlifter.
I mean, I said fitness. Well, okay, fair enough.
But you said the deadlift too. So
Yeah. But men supposed to
ladies,
naturally
we
can
have-
deadlift
we
more
have
than you.
been at this conversation now. Can you imagine for 1 hour and 15 minutes? Immersions, we know we've gone over time, but as you can see, the Una draw out the conversation, we are draw with one another out. The place is on fire. And one thing though, when the man them up in the conversation, you know. So ladies, as we are wrapping up though, Stephanie, people say you need
Like, do we have to wrap up right now, though, Rush? I mean, I know we're
Yeah,
not
man,
super tired and want to go to
because we
bed,
have
but
to keep the fire burning. We don't want
so
to
good.
keep the people hot for part 2 when the
And
men
free.
will come onto the scene. So let me start with you, Nyree. Nyree, you participated in the experiment, but you are in your 40s. You've seen stuff, based on where you are at now. What would you kind of leave with our emergers tonight about dating?
If I would leave anything, it is to be sure about who you are and what you want. Spend some time with yourself, asking yourself those questions first, and then decide if you just want to date or if you want to date with intention. Regardless of whether you're in your 30s, 40s, if now is not a good time for a relationship, it's okay to say that to yourself, that I'm not ready now. But if you are ready, vocalize that to the person that you are talking to or the people that you are dating, that I am looking for a relationship. Lead with your intention. Nobody will ever be confused if you lead with your intentions.
Oh, that me like that. Lead with your intention. No, we really like that, Nyree. You're poetic, Bad.
Yeah.
Bad.
That's my
I'm gonna ask you when is the next experiment.
Oh, okay. So I've definitely been working on trying a virtual version. So, guys, you can follow me on Instagram. My page is very open. Anything I'm putting out, I'm going to put out there generally. And I'll just get together another group of ladies and we can try a thing virtually because, yeah, the COVID is real.
Stephanie, and your IG is Stephanie Graham?
Rebel _Steph.
Oh, it's double underscore.
Double
Yeah.
underscore, yeah.
Yeah, because because Steph deadlift, so she have to say it have to, the underscore have to heavy. It can't
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Steph, having done this experiment where you are currently in your life, having thought about things like, what do I bring to the table? What would you leave our audience with tonight?
I mean, the main thing I would say into dating is get out of your own way. You cannot find your future person if you are sitting down on your couch every evening. You have to practice, you have to put yourself out there. And I know it's difficult, but you will never find someone if you're not willing to be vulnerable. Step outside that comfort zone, ladies.
I would also like to volunteer Garfield Reese to be on the men's panel. I'm kidding.
Get him on the show for about 2 years now, so this must mean that he's ready to emerge.
Or is ready to emerge, damn it.
Ladies, tonight, Uno done social media, causing the internet to crash.
People are already asking, is this available tomorrow? It's available right after the show.
Immediately after. But Rushy, before you wrap up, Tracy just made a good point here. She said, he also may not want to be in a relationship with you. As Nyree raised, may not be ready for you. Sometimes women get upset that the man said he wasn't ready for a relationship, then marries the next girl. You just weren't it.
And I mean, you don't even have to say it, take it so personal. Just believe
Not
whatever
personal.
he tells you. It's not
Yeah.
personal.
Not personal.
Somebody's Prince Charming will not be my Prince Charming. I have
Right.
never ever felt like I would have wanted somebody's. Somebody's husband is not for me. Somebody's boyfriend is not for me. I have no interest in that. My person will show up in the right timing for me and come with all the qualities I'm looking for. So I'm not taking it personal. You didn't want this job, that's okay, sir. Next candidate.
Because it's not a casting call, it's an interview.
It's an interview, yeah. I'm not
And we're both
auditioning.
interviewing.
I am
We're both
interviewing. You
interviewing
interview
each
me
other.
and I'm interviewing, but I'm not auditioning for anybody's roles.
Correct.
Facts.
No, but
No audition around here.
so ladies, I'm gonna draw them on them tonight, and everybody's asking about part 2. And we could never have this show and just leave on a hanging, because there's gotta be a part 2. Nyree says you have to lead with intention. I mean, Nyree still have me stumped with that. Stephanie says you gotta come out of your comfort zone, because you're not going to find him sitting on your couch thinking about him and just making that list about him. You have to actually make yourself available and show up.
Faith without works is dead.
Indeed. So this conversation has to continue, because we have to hear what the men them saying. Well, Imru and Nyree with the bite of the week. I'm gonna tweet that tomorrow.
Thank you, Ruth.
Hashtag lead with intention. So please follow Rebel _Steph, because experiment part 2 shall be emerging. I did hear it here first.
COVID friendly.
The COVID friendly version.
Guys, and for our emergers that follow us every week, I mean, if you missed Stephanie's IG, you can just email us as well, and we can shoot her an email with her new list of people to experiment with. This is pretty exciting, and as you saw, guys, she has the results, she has the receipts to back up what she's doing. Hopefully you can get in before she starts charging for this amazing service, which maybe she needs to speak to the PR chick to help out with that part.
Emailing you right after this.
But I definitely think there's opportunity just based on this conversation and what's happening in the comments. I mean, we're super excited about next week, because I know we have some male guests already planned, but now I feel like we might have some new ones coming out of this conversation here. Imru had a lot to say. Starting
Matthew Gavadan had a lot to say.
So
Rory had a lot to say.
you guys. As a matter of fact, all the men had a lot to say.
And can I say one more thing? I just want to thank our community for coming out. I see a lot of support from our 876 Fitness crew, family members, friends. A lot of people came out and supported us tonight, and I'm really thankful and appreciate
that's how we
everybody
learned
listening.
about WOD. So, see, Jillian says The Experiment by Stephanie Graham.
Hey,
So like
trademark. Trademark.
I love it. But
And
guys,
we would
thank
also
you
like to
so
thank
much.
you, ladies. You jumped on board with us for this conversation. You made yourself available. You shared openly, and them not calling you good gal for no reason. Good gal. And ladies, just thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies, as well.
Thank you so much for having us on. This was really a great experience.
And we will be all up in the comments for the men's version.
It's gonna be hot. And for those that joined us for the first time tonight, thank you so much. This is Emerge Detour Essentials Live. We started this last year. We just celebrated our 1-year anniversary, and we are now in season 5. So this is episode 3 of season 5. This episode is going to be available immediately after the show is over, so you can share the link with anybody that missed it. And we're here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock. And this month, we're focusing on a lot of conversations like this, dating and love and excitement, sex, all the things. So you want to stick and stay, share the link. Chungi is here every week, but this is the first time I've ever seen Chungi really in the comments. So this is
Correct. Yes. Now
and Desi as well.
Yep.
So thank you guys for joining.
And we'll be here next week, same time, same place. Follow us on all the platforms. Sasha had asked if a love coach is a real thing. Yes, she's gonna
Right.
be
So
on
we're
live
actually
next
trying to
week.
get my love coach, who is actually launching this new course in October, to be on the show the week after the gentleman. Because you know what, have the ladies sharing their opinion, then the gentleman, and then we're tied all in with the next steps from the experts. So we will have a full package for you guys, so don't worry.
So thanks everybody. Have a great evening. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll catch you next week, same time, same place.
Thank you guys.
Bye.